shadow of doubt in your bright little mind. No picture.
The visual star image communicates important messages to the audience, as audience frequently equate the look of an artist to a style of music. According to Dyer, a star is an image, not a real person, that is constructed out of a range of materials. If an artist is to be successful, they must construct an image that adheres to pre-existing conventions within the associated genre. Websites are another opportunity to publicize and promote a star image, often organized into what Boyd describes as co-option.
Alt country is a mongrel breed combining country, folk, bluegrass with styles that are typically considered antithetical to the country tradition, like punk, indie or garage rock. Alt country has an added aggressive attitude and anti-establishment spirit, adopting artists who have previously been unsuccessful in the Nashville market due to their being branded outlaws, refusing to comply with the current trends of Nashville, e.g. heavy drug abuse. However, this appeals to the indie audience who already feel outcast in society and relate to this sense of exclusion by mainstream ideologies. Josh T. Pearson, the artist whose song Woman When I've Raised Hell we have created a music video off the back of, is an alt-country singer, and therefore we can sell his image to a younger indie audience. His use of narcotics, alcohol and time spent in mental institutions will appeal to the rebellious audience. Indie music, like alt-country, identifies themes such as loss, loneliness and exclusion. We've tried to develop a star image of rebellion, experience and authenticity. In regard to the album cover, we have used an image taken while we were in Guildford on the front cover. The title, Hillbilly Junk, sums up the rural meeting urban, which is the essence of alt country. Hillbilly referring to the rural Americana associated with the roots of country, and junk being the street name for heroin. This also gives the album a rebellious edge, which, according to Richard Dyer's star theory, is going to make our album attractive to the target audience. The image that has been used is one of Simon leaning against a drain pipe in a dark alleyway. It is a simple image, but the direct icon.
In regard to the website, the alt-country genre of music tend to churn out very average websites. This is for several reasons. Firstly, country music rejects modern technologies and favours the more nostalgic and old-fashioned approach to entertainment industries, with concerts and gigs in bars being their main outlet, rather than websites and music videos. Secondly, alt-country centres around the music itself. The lyrics are not simply throwaway superficial pop nonsense, but carry more gravitas with themes of love, loss and despair running through. Websites and music videos detract from the seriousness and are time-consuming, which, as it is not the purpose of the music, makes it a waste of time. Thirdly, most alt-country artists are relatively unknown and don't make enough to fund such projects, and though it can be argued websites are a good source of revenue with concert dates and merchandise being available, I would suggest that with most alt-country artists, people stumble across concerts via word of mouth or chance. We developed a website that mimicked the websites of artists within the genre, such as A. Bondi, Matthew E. White, Dawn Gibson and the Fleece Brothers. These in general are of fairly poor quality for the reasons listed above. We have adopted the same template, but attempted to make our website slightly slicker, and have used a darker colour palette to emphasise the darker and depressing nature of the artist. We used a fairly muted colour scheme for the website, because it emphasises our artist being an authentic and organic act. Not only that, but alt country tends to lean towards the nostalgic, and the muted colour scheme reflected this. The font we used was Arial, as it's a fairly nondescript font, and the simplicity reflects the simplicity of our act and the authenticity. On the website, we included a range of merchandise that could be purchased. This included his and hers bracelets, and a lighter, a t-shirt with the Dali skull, which is a recurring theme throughout our music video, and a keychain. We published UK tour dates in fairly local bars, no big venues because he's a small act, and went for slightly alternative venues as well, such as the World's End pub in World's End. We filmed in black and white as we felt this would enhance a nostalgic feel that would appeal to our target audience. We did this in an attempt to represent the Beat Generation, a movement of young people in the 1950s who rejected conventional society and favored Zen Buddhism, modern jazz, free sexuality, and recreational drugs. The Beat Generation encouraged spirituality, promiscuity, and substance abuse. These are themes that in many respects country music is based upon, particularly alt country. Though country is not the sound of the Beat Generation, which was mainly jazz and Charlie Parker, Kerouac, a leader in the Beat Generation, was a massive Parker fan, and references regularly crop up within his novels. The Beat Generation encourages introspection and pleasure, though the two do not usually coincide. It reflects the pained country singers and the hedonistic lifestyles they led. For these reasons, we attempted to develop a product that we felt would appeal to an audience who enjoyed beat literature and the attitudes of the late 60s, early 70s. I think we achieved this in the art house, introspective feel of our final product, though the use of black and white, the bar locations, and the lack of cohesive narrative, the ambiguity it created left people thinking there was some hidden intent to our product. An area where we can definitely advertise our album would be over the radio. Americana is the closest genre to country around at the moment. Its sound is very similar but slightly more country than alternative, and the associated costume slightly more Nashville. Americana developed as a radio format during the early 1990s, as a reaction to the highly polished sound that defined mainstream musicians at the time. It was developed for the listener who, interested in the arts but uncomfortable with the synthetic sound of Nashville and rock attitudes, felt more comfortable with the middle ground, which became Americana. Americana became hugely popular and individual channels dedicated solely to it. These channels would acknowledge Gene Moriarty as having a similar sound and having the authenticity which really represents alt country. One such station would be Loud City Radio. We would release our product under the Chicago record label, Bloodshot Records, as it is a smaller record label releasing a similar genre of music. Therefore, we can encourage an audience of pre-existing fans to enjoy our music video. We would place an advert in the music magazines such as Alternate Route magazine, a magazine dedicated to alt country musicians. Uncut is another magazine in which we could place an advert. Uncut magazine has been running for 17 years and has featured all the best people, including Radiohead, Bob Dylan, and Leonard Cohen. Uncut focuses only on organic and authentic musicians, and for that reason our artist would be well suited to the magazine, his image being the same.
The music video itself is categorically less cohesive than its peers. Most country videos, though that remains a small handful, have heavier country influences, leaning towards country over alternative. In my music video, we didn't want to simply follow the expected conventions and churn out yet another conveyor belt product, so took a different angle to production and hovered around the outskirts of the conventions, creating an identifiable yet different video. The filming in black and white and the incorporations of skulls built a darker and more depressing image for our artists than other old country musicians. Not only that, but old country is the merging of country music with funk, and allowed a struggling generation to create a sense of nostalgia, reviving the attitudes of their forefathers. A generation brought together by hardship, who, despite the struggle, had fewer expectations on them and more work opportunity. Old country was a way of musically and lyrically expressing the signifiers of the urban environment of punk and alternative music against a familiar, nostalgic and rural backdrop. A fusion of past, present and place, evoking a sense of reflecting nostalgia of individual and collective memory. Boing. A homage to an easier time without wishing to recreate it. It is the drawing on past for influence that creates the authenticity and credibility for which alt country is associated.